Hello, welcome back to the stream. It's good to see everyone. So today going to be adding a new table, which a table is just basically anything that's interactable in the hub level here, which is going to allow the player to see which affixes or runes they have unlocked. So it's part of a broader unlock system. It's going to be kind of a companion to the gun part unlocks, which is this table here. And that's basically what I'm going to be working on today. So I'm going to start with the implementation of the UI, and then if there's time, move on to doing the art for the table. So before I get into it, I'd like to mention, if you want to support my work, please check out the links in the description below. I've got a couple of Udemy courses, C# and GDScript courses available. So if you want to learn how to build a complete game in the Godot engine using either C# or GDScript, you can check out the links below. Also, wishlisting Gunforged, which is the game that I'm currently working on. That's going to be out in a couple of months, so that would be a great way to support me as well. And there are a bunch of other links that you could check out to support me also. So with all of that out of the way, let's get right into it. Hello, Marcos. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. All right, so I already have the code in place for the affix unlocks, I believe. So if I look at my save data here, we've got, where is it? Affix unlocks, so these are the rune unlocks here. Poison is unlocked by default. So I'm gonna need to model after the Gunforge, or the gun part unlock screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So here's the gun part unlock screen. All I really need is like, basically this. So let's create a new scene. Canvas layer. It's going to have a layer of 11. And this is going to be the affix unlocks screen. Let's go ahead and save that in scenes UI. I think that's where I'm saving everything. Let's see. Yeah, so save it in there. Paste that. Okay, and then we can rename this to Rune Unlocks. I'm gonna do this. Okay, so there's a Rune Unlocks, and then we've got this grid container. Now there's this gun part inventory button here. I think that's going to need to change. I think I have rune inventory button. Let's see. The other thing I need to do is do a margin container here to house everything. So just make that full. Okay, perfect. So I've got the rune inventory button. Great. Do I want... So I've got 3 columns, that's fine. I should probably see how much it's going to be, or how wide it's going to be. Okay, so it's going to be that wide. I think what I'll do is just freeze this size. So I'm going to look at my transform here. Wherever that is, I guess layout, transform. It's 137 in the X, so I'm just going to put that as the minimum size. And that way I can get rid of all these, and it will preserve its size. So that gives me a better idea of how this is actually looking. All right, let's go ahead and instantiate one of those chain panel animator components. Right there. And we're going to take that sway animation root, drop root, add these 2 markers. Okay, speed scale 2, disable sway, disable rotation, 0 duration. Okay, so that ought to do it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and run this real quick, make sure it's all working. Okay, that works just fine. So now that all of that is in place, now we can iterate over our runes. Now I have to think about this. How is the gun part unlocks working? So this is iterating over all IDs. It's creating the part resource. It's not ordering it in any particular way. So wonder if I should order this. Should I order it alphabetically? Maybe I'll order it, but I'll do that later. So the gun part unlock screen is just iterating over those and creating all those buttons. So I need to see what the rune inventory button looks like in terms of what capabilities it has. So I can set affix. Okay. Okay. Is this used anywhere? I don't think so. Yeah, I think this can go away. I don't think tween method is used anywhere. Some ancient code, I think, that needs to be cleaned up here. There we go, that's much better. Okay. Okay, perfect. So now let's create a script for this. This is going to be in game.ui namespace. All right. Public override void ready. Okay, and here we want to set up all those affixes. So for each var affix ID in affix registry dot IDs. Let's grab, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to load this as an instance placeholder. So rune inventory button placeholder, access that as a unique name. Node private instance placeholder, rune inventory button placeholder. Okay, var button is equal to rune inventory button placeholder dot create instance as rune inventory button. Hello, Andrew. Yeah, early morning stream for sure. I've been up since 4 a.m. It's now 9 a.m. So I've already been up for 5 hours. And I was bored, so I was like, well, it's around my stream time, so we'll get the stream going. But yeah, that's why we're early. So I'm going to create that button and then button set affix gun part affix dot from instance from ID. No, that's not right. I think that's what I want to do. Okay, is that gonna work? Let's just see. Couldn't sleep. Yeah, it was one of those deals where I just woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep, so I just stayed awake. Do you normally wake up super early? I start my mornings at 5 during the weekday for work, so I feel you. No, I'm usually up at a better time, like 7 a.m. or something. around 7 a.m. is usually when I'm up, but occasionally, yeah, will just wake up earlier and will not go back to sleep, and so I just get up. But yeah, waking up at 5 every day is rough. So I guess I don't really need the scroll container, at least not yet. So I think what I'm gonna do is scroll container. Why is there extra padding here? That's the question. Oh, because there's a margin container here. Wait a minute. Scroll container is intended to work with a single child control. Oh. I'm going to try something. I don't know if that margin container is actually doing anything, but I need to verify. Turn the SFX down for now. Okay, so that margin container was filling a purpose, at least on the gun part unlock screen. So we'll go ahead and put that one back. I don't think I need it yet. I mean, there's going to be more affixes. So the problem is that I don't have enough affixes to fill this screen, and there's this big chunk of empty space here. And so the question is, do I act in a forward-thinking manner and just keep it because I'm going to be adding more affixes, or do I get rid of it for now so it looks nicer? I'll probably get rid of it for now so that it looks nicer. So instead of doing this whole scroll container, I'm just going to get rid of that. And then this VBox container here, is this where I set the... No, this one. I'm going to get rid of that custom minimum size. And I wish the grid container would... I guess I can just do that. Just have a bunch of placeholders. It's probably all right. And then instead of it extending to the full length, what I'm going to do is shrink this to the center. Now this is probably going to mess up my chain animation, isn't it? Because the... Oh no, it worked. Okay. So yeah, that looks better. I think that looks better. Okay, so there's a couple things that I need to do. One is I need to add a blocking UI component. And then I need to also add a cursor lock component. Okay, so that should give me my cursor now instead of the crosshair. There we go. And then we're going to need to add a tooltip of some sort. I also want to add probably a number here. So in this label, this rune unlocks would be like 1 out of 20. So I would need to update that. So let's do this. Oh, but that's gonna push the width to be too much. Dang it. I mean, there's no reason I can't just make this 4 columns instead. Yeah, there's no reason for it to be super skinny like the gun part unlocks, because the reason why the gun part unlock screen needs to be super skinny like this is because when you unlock one of the meta upgrades, you get this extended view. So there's more on the screen, so this needs to be skinnier. But that's not going to be the case for this screen. So I could really just use, I could even do 5 if I wanted to. And that would potentially eliminate the need for a scroll container to ever be introduced. Because I've got all kinds of space. I got 5 per row. So there's already 17 here. I want to work my way upwards of 30 affixes. So that would only be 6 rows. That would only be 2 more rows, right? Or no? Did I do my math right? Yeah, it would be 2 more rows. Fill out this row, then 2 more. Sweet. Okay, this is annoying me. My font that I'm using here, it's a weird bitmap font that looks great, but it's also got some weird spacing issues. But rather than edit the font directly, I've just been manually kind of adjusting the centering, which means that this probably needs the same treatment here. Since this is, I copied this over. So 13 for the custom minimum size, bottom align. Okay. Cool. Good morning, Tupa. Welcome back to the stream. Hello, Presentary. Good afternoon from the UK. Well, good afternoon to you. It's morning here. It's 9 a.m. How's the weather over in the UK? Is it getting cold? Getting to be winter time? Give me one quick second. I need to go and check on something. All right, sorry about that. We had snow yesterday, which was cool. Oh, nice. Nice. I'm sure snow is coming here very soon. It's getting cold. Let's see. Well, I was going to look at the weather, but everything's conspiring to hide the temperature from me. Anyway, it's not quite freezing yet. All right, so I need to introduce a tooltip now. I shouldn't have closed that gun part unlock screen. So I think info panel container. Oh, am I not using the unified tooltip here? I had like a unified tooltip. Inventory tooltip. Oh. I'm probably just using this in the shop. Yeah. So I'm going to need my own sort of tooltip here. Well, let me check. I want to see, maybe I can genericize this one. No, it's not going to be worth the effort. It's going to be easier to just copy and paste this because there's enough of a difference in terms of the data here that it's just not worth trying to make it work in both cases. Because essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, move those up there, and then delete everything else. And that's it. Put that inside the margin container. No, I don't want to do that. So that's basically it. Okay. Node private control info panel container. Node private label info title. Is it called title label? Yeah. Node private label info description label. Very good. In the ready method here, I'm going to set the info panel container dot visible to false just in case I accidentally leave it open. So in here, let's do this. Button dot mouse entered plus equals on mouse entered. We're going to pass in the button. And then let's do mouse exited on mouse exited. Actually, we don't need that. I can just do on mouse exited. So then in here, private void on mouse entered, we're going to accept an argument, which is the Rune inventory button. And then this should have a reference to the affix. And then private void on mouse exited. The on mouse exited just needs to take that info panel container and turn it invisible. And then on mouse entered, info panel container dot visible equals true, but we also need to change the text. So info panel container or info title label dot text is equal to Rune inventory button dot gun part affix dot display name dot resource dot display name. Goodness. Info title label dot text equals Rune inventory button dot gun part affix dot get description 1. Whoops, this should be description. All right, let's see if it happened to work. Hello, Emmanuel. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. Good morning or afternoon. Okay, so that's looking great. Now the info panel container just needs to have its position changed. Info panel container dot position equal to get global info panel container dot get global mouse position plus where did I could have sworn that I had another. Oh, you know what? Meta upgrade. Sorry, the cat needed to be covered. All right, so upgrade tree screen in here. Process. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. It wants me to parenthesize that. I guess I'll parenthesize it here too. Upgrade tree screen. Parenthesize that. Okay, so now that info panel container is going to follow the mouse instead of just being in the top left corner of the screen. Hello, Kiki Dev. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. All right. I think what also needs to happen is I need to... Oops, I didn't want to do that. I need to reset the size of this too. So info panel container dot size vector 2.0. So that will just reset the size to the minimum size that it can be. So there's no like empty space anymore. And there we go. We got a tooltip. Now it is kind of exceeding the bounds of the screen. So let me think about that. Is that a problem that I solved? Upgrade tree screen. It might have. It might have been solved in here. It was solved in here. Wow, I'm a genius. All right. So that means I can just lift that code right out of there. I'm resetting the size here too. That's fine. Window size. All right, that ought to do it. So now that tooltip should not bleed off the edges of the screen. Nice. So now when I go over to the edge, it just bumps up right against the edge there. It's really only going to be a problem on the right-hand side, but it technically works on all sides of the screen, so. Sweet. Now there's a weird thing happening, which is that the very first, I'll just put this here. I'll just reset the size to 0 every frame. That's what I'm doing in the upgrade tree screen, and that seems to be working fine, so hopefully that will reduce that little flicker size. Yeah, that worked. Okay, sweet. So that's basically it. Now I gotta fix that. This marker 2D needs to go on over here. Now let's count the rune unlocks here. So yeah, the one thing that I haven't done yet is I need to add a silhouette to runes that are not yet unlocked. So these things together. So I basically want this whole thing to just have a silhouette. How did I do it with the gun part? Inventory button. I used a shader material. Why did I use a shader material here? Why did I do that? Oh, I guess because I'm using an outline shader here, and I think the normal Godot modulate does not work with this shader. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's the reason. So there's a modulate property within the shader, which allows me to change. Yeah, okay. So that's how I'm creating the silhouette for locked gun parts. But that is a challenge that I don't have on the affix. So I think this is just going to be as simple as setting this modulate to black and also making sure to do the same thing. Or I could just hide the icon texture, yeah. Okay, so let me do that. So public void set locked. We're gonna take that normal texture rect here. Texture rect dot modulate is equal to colors dot black, and then icon texture rect dot visible is equal to false. So that should be enough. So now when I'm going into my affix unlock screen, when I'm iterating over all these affixes, what I need to do is check now if the affix is unlocked. So once again, I'm going to reference my gun part unlock screen to see how I'm doing it. Has meta upgrade? No, that's not it. Has gun part unlock. Okay. Public static bool has affix unlock. String affix ID. Save data dot gun or affix unlocks dot try get value affix ID out var unlock return unlock dot is unlocked equals true. So this unlock here is a type of affix unlock, which is an object that has an is unlocked property, but it also extends a base save object which has a created at timestamp. So I'm logging the times that everything is unlocked as well. I don't have an immediate need for that, but my experience as a software engineer has taught me that even if you don't think you're going to need it, you absolutely do need to have timestamp columns in your database, right? You at least need to have a created at, but preferably you need to have like a created at and an updated at field, because time is almost always useful. So I'm kind of taking the same approach to the save data. Probably not going to use the time, but you never know, because you can't work backwards. Like if you want to introduce a migration later on or say, oh, suddenly I need the time. Well, anyone that already has an existing save, you have no way of knowing now when that time, at what time those things were unlocked, right? So better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Okay, so has affix unlock. If not, save manager dot has affix unlock. Affix ID button dot set locked. And if the button is locked, we actually need to display the appropriate message. And once again, I actually don't know. So this just says locked. Okay. So in here, so we're going to check that unlock status again. If is unlocked, we're going to display the title and the text, and let's do this. Info description label dot visible is equal to true. Else info title label dot text is equal to locked, and info description label dot visible equals false. Okay, let's give that a whirl. I actually think I have all the affixes unlocked on this save, so I'm probably gonna have to rename it or delete it. Oh no, I don't. Locked, locked, locked. There we go, it's that simple, folks. Probably want to disable being able to select this as well. I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, but I don't think that clicking on it should like maintain the focus. But let's not worry about that right now. So let's keep track of the total on it. Well, let me check chat here. Andrew says, have you looked into logging for your game? I also come from a background in tech and I find logs are so useful when troubleshooting weird behavior. Yeah, admittedly, this is one of the parts where I'm weakest in. I have a logger class that I wrote. Let me see if I can find it. But this one is suffering from the issue of I'm not logging a timestamp. But I have a logger class that just, I can log errors, I can log info, and I can log debug messages. So debug messages will only be printed if it's a debug build, which is nice for just like my testing. Info is great for just verifying that, like for instance, I'm logging info when I'm updating all the biased loot tables. So when I'm modifying the loot tables to be biased in the player's favor, I want to make sure that all the parameters are correct, all the numbers are correct. So I'm using info logging for that. And of course, error logging is pretty self-explanatory, but the nice thing about this one is that I can log my own error, but then I also have a stack trace print in here as well. And then all of this will be logged to the user's log file, but I'm not like, my code is not like heavily instrumented at all in terms of like this logging, I don't know, pipeline, I guess you could say. It's not like a full like software cloud app where you've got like all this instrumentation and you can log just about everything and see all the requests and everything. I'm only using this log very sparingly in certain places that I think are prone to breaking or prone to behaving unexpectedly. But yeah, I think it would be nice to have a lot more data, but that's a lot of effort as well. So I think it's something I should get better at. I should definitely use logging more liberally, I think. Hello, Breckheck, welcome back. My cats tried to convince me they need a third breakfast this morning. You can't listen to them. It's funny that you say that because my one of my cats is getting just a tad chunky, so I've cut back his food a little bit, and now he acts like he's starving. It's like, no, you're not. You're fine. So, can you please tell me how much uncapped FPS do you get? In Gunforged, the last time I checked, it was like around 400 or 500 uncapped FPS. And it would drop down to like 300 in particularly busy moments of the game. But that's also running a debug build, and I'm not sure how much faster the release build is. I need to do testing on that, and yeah, I need to test it on a variety of devices and just see what the performance is like. Unlocked affixes, so we're going to keep track of the unlocked. So this label here, I'm going to call this header label. So my header label.text is equal to string.format, header label.text, unlocked affixes, total affixes. Okay, let's see if that works. Will I do a 2-hour stream? Yeah, probably be about 2 hours today. So got another hour and 15 minutes or so left. Might go longer, it depends. Admittedly, one of the reasons I started this stream a little bit earlier is because I got up so early this morning and I was hungry, and this stream is my attempt to take my mind off of being hungry for the moment, to take me to 11 o'clock when McDonald's starts serving lunch, or I guess 10:30 on the weekdays. Yeah, it is awesome. I think there's going to be some performance improvements that I need to make, but I need to, like I said, I need to do some testing. Performance improvements are probably not going to be present in the demo, so I'm fully expecting to get some messages from people about the performance being iffy on especially lower end devices, but I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that it's just relatively stable for all variety of hardware. So is that number correct? 14 out of 17. Yes, cool. All right, so that works. So yeah, I want to remove the ability to focus on those buttons. So let me go ahead and do that. So Rune inventory button. I think the focus, so I think what I can do, public void disable focus. What I can do in here is I can say focus entered plus equals. I'm just going to do a lambda here. Release focus. So I'm just going to release the focus as soon as the focus is grabbed. Oh, I guess I don't need to do that. It doesn't want me to do that either, but I'm going to keep that. Okay, so then in here, button.disable focus. Okay, let's see if that, I have no idea if that's going to work. It seems like it should work. Well, we'll see. Hey, it works. Nice. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might do the same thing. If I don't have the meta upgrade, I'm going to do the same thing for my gun part inventory button. So on my gun part unlock screen, when I'm getting this button ready to go, let's do this. var has loadout selection. Okay, the reason I'm doing that is now I can do this. If not has loadout selection, button dot disable focus. Okay, so let me just make sure that this is still working. I ran the wrong scene. I ran the wrong scene. So I should be able to still grab focus here. That's working. And instead of doing a proper test, I'm just going to invert this now. Nice. Perfect. All right. So that's working good. Let me think. Is there anything else that I need to do on this screen? I think I just reran. Yeah, whoops. Godot editor is getting kind of slow for me on this C# project. Okay, so there's my rune unlocks. Cool. I'm gonna do the same thing. Well, gun part unlocks. Yeah, the tricky part about this is that I don't have as much space in the header. I mean, I could just make it, I could do another header. That doesn't look too great though, does it? I don't really like the way that looks, but let me see. A double cheeseburger for lunch. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate that. Thank you for the $5. Very generous. Thank you, thank you. I mean, I guess that's not bad. Let's give it a shot. Var total unlock count equals gun registry dot all IDs dot count dot length. This is coming back as an array. Oh my goodness, can I type? Var current unlock count equals 0. Unlock count label dot text is equal to unlock count label dot text. Oh, string dot format. Current unlock count, total unlock count. Okay, let's see if that works. $33 out of 33, look at that. Is that right? There should be 11. 1, 2, yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna count it. I could just really quick double check by, if I open up my save, I'll just rename it to save.old. And now if I run the game, it should be 0 out of 33. Oh no, 6, right, because you start with 2 guns. So 6 out of 33. And now, actually, I should have 1 rune unlocked here too. 1 out of 17, I believe. Yep, poison. Sweet. So the unlock stuff is like it's not super necessary, but I think a lot of people appreciate having like a catalog of everything that they have found and everything they have yet to find. It's a little bit of a motivation. Okay, so that should be good for the affix unlock screen. So the next thing to do is to create a table from which that screen can be accessed. But I'm going to commit these changes that I made. So add affix unlock screen. Sync those changes. All right. Now let's take a look at the stats table. I'm basically just going to duplicate this. This is actually probably going to be much easier than I thought it was going to be. I do need to think of some art for the table. So if anyone has any ideas of what the affix unlock table can look like, I'm trying to make all the tables look somewhat unique. So, but yeah, let me know if you have any ideas. But let's go ahead and view this in the file system. Let's duplicate this. Affix unlocks table. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the animation player. Getting rid of the animation player. Get rid of this. Put that affix unlock screen in there. Interaction area component. That's probably fine. Call that runes. Folder book. Let's just get rid of the book. Static body 2D. Let's make this unique just in case. Okay. Rename that, and then let's create a separate script for it. I'm literally just going to copy and paste. I do need a notification. So I need a closed event handler. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to add a little close button to the screen. So I'll need to do that as well. I'm having the darndest time typing today. So blocking UI component dot escaped plus equals on escaped. So we're going to emit that signal name closed. Cool. And then we also need the close texture button. Which is not present yet, but I'm just going to add it here real quick. Close texture button dot pressed plus equals on closed. Okay, so we're going to free that. Why do I have a problem here? Oh, oops. I accidentally created a new ready method. Oh, it's because usually my ready method is above my process method. I saw the process method and I was like, oh, I don't have a ready method, but obviously I do. Okay. So I need to add that close button to the affix screen. So that should be relatively easy. There we go. There's a little close texture button. Make that as a unique name. And now, well, I should be ready to test everything in the hub arena. So this is where I can put my affix unlocks table. And we'll just slap it over here. I don't know. Gonna have to figure out what kind of art to do for this. Oops. I'll just start the game from scratch, I guess. That's weird. So I forgot to add a dimmed background. Oh, my layer was wrong, that's why. I was wondering why it was lit so weirdly. I don't know how that turned into 0 from 11, but it should be 11, so there we go. All right, that should fix my issues. There we go. There's the Rune unlock screen. And all this works so I can close it with either escape or the button in the top. And that allows me to interact with it again. Sweet. So the remaining thing is to figure out what kind of art to do for this. But let me go ahead and commit that. So first iteration of affix unlocks table. Let's see, what kind of creative thing can we do? What kind of creative thing can we do for the table? Let's think. I've already got a crystal. I've already got a boulder. I've already got an actual like workbench table thing. I was thinking something along the lines of like a plant or something, but that doesn't really fit the Rune style. Maybe some kind of like obelisk with vines wrapping around it. I could do that. That might be interesting. An obelisk with vines wrapping around it. As you can tell, like a lot of these things are not like, there's no rhyme or reason behind these things. It's just like, oh, that would be cool. Oh, a giant glowing crystal? That's cool. Oh, a boulder with a floating book? That's cool. So an obelisk with vines wrapping around it, that would be cool. Some sort of masonry stand. Oh, like, let me think. Can I just search masonry stand and see? Maybe this is not going to pull up what you're thinking of. Maybe like what if I put Renaissance? Okay, well that's not really coming up with much of anything. If I search masonry stand, I get like a bunch of weird Home Depot like things. But like a masonry workbench or something. Old masonry workbench. Some interesting stuff here, like an old wooden table. Something like that, I guess, with the tools. Yeah. Something more like it, yeah. Stand with test tubes, flasks, pipettes. Yeah, that could work. Mortar and pestle. Oh, it could be like a giant mortar and pestle. Or maybe it could be like a creature of some sort. Maybe it could be like a, ooh, you know, steal the idea from Harry Potter, like a giant sorting hat. Just like a giant magical hat. You know, it'd be actually kind of funny. Make the giant magical hat an entity in here that just kind of wanders around, but it functions as the table. A cat climbing tree. That's actually really funny. I think I kind of like, it's kind of an out there idea, but like a wizard hat that's just like wandering around the hub. Because it will add some motion to the hub, but then it can also be functional in the sense that it serves as one of the tables. Semi-sentient hat, dig it. Yeah, why don't we try that? I do like the idea of having some kind of entity moving around. It would a lot of the sterility that's here would go away. I mean, I still need to do some work on this too. Like, I started making props and whatnot. Like, there's a ladder back here, which is just kind of like a clutter item to give the space some more character. So I'm gonna do some more of that. I wanted to put like a little rug or something and like bookshelves and chairs as like a little reading corner. So there's some environmental details I want to have here, but then having like an entity that's actually wandering around I think would be super cool. This brazier is kind of out of place too. I might replace this. Or make it smaller. Or at least maybe give it some kind of cutout here so it looks like it's actually sitting in a spot. I don't know. I gotta think about it. Can you talk about how you stream to YouTube? I want to start streaming my game dev practice, small game projects. Yeah, sure. Like, what specifically do you want to know? Do you want to know like the technical setup for how I do it? Or just like a general approach? Yeah, okay. OBS setup. Yeah, so I think I would recommend looking up some YouTube tutorials on how to set up YouTube streaming with OBS. Because I think a lot of the settings are going to depend on your computer. And there's so many settings, I can't necessarily go over them right now. But yeah, the big things that you want to do are get your scenes in order, first of all. Get your bit rate configured correctly. I think I'm doing 10 megabits per second streaming to YouTube. For high quality, so people can, because I'm streaming 1440p. And then in terms of like, so the chat is using an application called Social Stream, which kind of like listens for the YouTube live chat and then presents it in a custom way. So I can style it. That's what you're seeing in the blue rectangle right above my head. So that's coming from Social Stream. And then, audio is probably one of the most important things, because if you have bad audio, I think a lot of people get turned off by that. And it's not like my audio is not perfect, but you'll want to look into applying EQ, compressor, limiter, noise reduction, that sort of thing to your microphone. And you'd be surprised, like even a low quality mic can be made to sound really good if you apply those things. So I hope that gets you started. I hope that gives you some ideas to do further research in. But I think, every OBS setup is kind of specific to the person. So I don't think I could really give you like my settings and like that would just work for you, But yeah, I hope that helps. Stefan, are you aware that Gunforged isn't available in Germany anymore due to new regulations? I saw a bunch of stuff with Germany. What is the regulation? Because if it's going to cost me anything to comply with it, then I guess it won't be available in Germany. But if it's easy, like there are some Steam things, like some self surveys you can fill out on Steam for different regions. And if it's just one of those deals, then yeah, I'll go and fill that out. But I'm not aware of the what you call it. That Z index is wrong. Bullets are tricky. Okay. I'm gonna actually write that down real quick. Add bullet impact effects to entities layer rather than bullets layer. Okay, let's so I'm doing a hat, right? Germany requires games to have an age rating. I read that developers just have to fill out a survey on Steam. Okay, yeah, and then I'll get around to that for sure. Probably when I go back into Steam to upload the new demo, I'll get all that filled out, and then it should be available in Germany again. Assuming that's all that needs to happen. But yeah, thank you for bringing it up. That's all it takes. Okay, good, good. All right then, so I'll do that. Maybe I should actually do that. Maybe I'll do that this afternoon actually, so I can be relisted. Looking forward to play Gunforged. Well, thank you, Stefan. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go into Asprite. And I think I need to open up the player as a reference here. Actually, I'm gonna just go ahead and save this right here. Entity, new Rune hat. All right, let's watch me struggle to create a hat now. So the reason I have the player in here is just as a reference for the size. So that way I don't draw the hat too small or too large. So I'm just using the player as sort of a guideline here. Are all of these colors? Oh, interesting. I was questioning for a moment whether those colors were coming from my palette, but they are, so we're good. Gosh, the updated player art looks so much better. I'm very happy with that. Okay, anyway, enough about the player. Let's go ahead and actually draw something. Okay, so sorting hat. Let's get some basic shapes in place. So I probably want the hat to curve a little bit. I want it to be like a big, like brimmed hat. So again, I'm just kind of sketching. That's already not looking good. Okay, so this is going to come like this. That's too steep of a curve, I think. Hello? What is going on? Okay, there we go. That is a little bit awkward. Trying to get this curve to be reasonably shaped. I don't think that's actually going to work. I think I need to do... Okay. That's better. Okay. Getting there. So I think that's roughly good. Get rid of that jaggy there. Okay, I think this probably should go up a little bit more on that side. This... I think this actually needs to bow outward a little bit. Okay, so we got like a nice big floppy hat. And that's a good size. It's roughly the same size as the player. But I'm gonna add some extra stuff to it. So I think I'll just try to work with this here. And now I'm going to decide what colors it should have. I think a purple's probably good. I wonder if I can I just make this black? Okay, I actually think I want to make this more pointy. Okay, I think that's... Wait, what manner of magic did I do over there? Yeah, there we go. That's looking pretty good. Is this still too high? Yes, that looks much better. Okay, so we got the purple hat. Honestly, kind of feel like this can be brought in a little bit. It's just a tad too thick, I think. So we'll try that. Okay. Then we'll maybe bring this one in as well. Or bring the whole thing over. I think I'll stick with that. I think that works fine. So now I gotta figure out how to do like folds and stuff. So let's try just doing some shadows and whatnot. Start with the shadows. And the highlights. Might be too much, but we'll just work through it. Now, in terms of the folds, I have no clue how to do folds. I gotta make it look lumpy. Oof. Oof, this is gonna be rough. I don't like this. I'm gonna get rid of that. Try something else later. I feel like that looks decent, like a crease there. I should probably look up a reference or something. Hello, Rune. Welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. Does this work? I don't think this color is throwing me off. Maybe something a little subtler. That doesn't look bad. I feel like maybe this just needs to be super chunky. Maybe I'll obscure some of my terrible cloth work by putting some decorations on it. I might have to look up a reference for this because I just don't know what I'm doing, but that's fine. It's part of learning. I usually just try to do things myself first, figure out all the wrong ways to do it, and then look up what the right way to do it is. It tends to work pretty good. I mean, that doesn't look terrible, but like... Yeah, it's not terrible. Googly eyes. Yeah, I could add googly eyes. I might be able to do that. Let's see. Okay. I think maybe there just needs to be a different color in here. I'm just gonna start playing around with some colors. So this is like a, let me think. Yeah, there needs to be like some more detail here. Wonder if bringing this back would help a bit. Kind of helps. Maybe if I made it thicker. Ugh. Ugh. I don't think colors are going to save me. What if like a small creature was wearing the hat like a mouse and it slid around hidden until you interact with it, where you can see it stand up? That would be very funny. Yeah, that would be very funny. I don't think I'm going to do that because that's a lot of work, but I mean, anything's possible. This whole like middle part just looks blah. It just doesn't look good. So I'm going to have to figure that out. But I think the more interesting to do is going to be to, well, let me try something. I want to try adding some like gold or something. Maybe that will help. So if I add like a gold ribbon or something. I don't know why the wizard hat has a gold ribbon hanging down, but that's for the lore YouTubers to figure out. Maybe I won't bring it that far down. Because if I bring it that far down, then guess what? I'm going to have to animate it, and I don't want to do that. Doesn't look terrible. I did that all on a new layer as well. Actually, I wonder if I brought this up and then did a little bit more rounded so it looks like it's a thicker wrapping around it. Yeah, that looks better. Can cover up some of my my failure to make cloth. I wonder, maybe less is more in this instance. Maybe it's just too messy. It's just too... There's just too much going on, you know? Like, that kind of looks better. Yeah. Could I do something like really cliche and do like a patch or something? Do this, and then can I do like a... How do I make this look like a patch? I need like a barely different color here. What's a barely different color? This one? That's almost what I want. I mean, even just that works pretty well. Do I not have a barely different color? A suitable barely different color? Oh, it's almost there. Maybe I've had better luck if I make it a little bit lighter. I just want to find a color that's not too contrasting. The problem is, maybe I can just get away with... that kind of looks like a patch. It's not... Maybe... I wonder if I could just leave it like that and get away with that. Huh, we'll see. If I know one thing about rendering from a draw fee is that you keep your shading on a separate layer, but I don't know if Aseprite has blending options like that. Well, I'm not really doing any particular blending, like these are all just solid colors, so I could definitely do all the shading and whatnot on a different layer. As a matter of fact, I've got all kinds of things messed up here, but oh well. It's fine. I think that looks fine, honestly, the little patch. I think most people will think that's a patch. According to ancient lore, the ribbons are enchanted threads spun from the fabric of the magical planes themselves. When a wizard completes their training, they weave their own ribbon into their hats. See, there you go. There's the lore for Gunforged, where this hat, why this hat has a ribbon. That's very creative. Fox Shadow, good morning to you as well. What is this? Is this a snot face? Are you sick? I think, you know what? I think this is fine. It looks... I mean, I think it... Let's see. I mean, I think it looks... It kind of gets across the point of it being like a raggedy kind of hat. And I think that's basically all that I needed to do. It looks like a ragged hat. Now this is actually wrong. There we go. Fixed it. Well, I don't think it's a bad showing. You're sleepy. Oh, gotcha. Can't take credit. That was ChatGPT. Well, okay. 7 a.m. here. Oh, very nice. Early. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and implement this into the game as an entity, so as a moving upgrade table. But before I do that, I'm going to go take a quick 2-minute break, get a refill on my drink and whatnot. So in the meantime, while I'm on the break, if you would check out the links in the description below, those are all the ways that you can support my work. You can purchase my Udemy courses if you want to learn how to build a game in the Godot engine. Wishlisting Gunforged, which is the game that I'm making currently, is also a great way to support me, and liking and subscribing and watching my videos. So please check those links out while I'm away for just a couple minutes, and when I get back, we'll implement this hat into the game. All right, I'm back. I think that was shorter than 2 minutes, but that's fine. Okay, let's see how we can go about doing this now. So Rune hat. We'll just, I want to move this a little bit actually. Before I do that, just more center it. Okay, Rune hat, export. So we got the affix unlocks table. So this is actually going to be interesting because what this needs to do is this needs to change into a character body. I'm going to need to write a state machine for it and everything as well. It's not going to be too terrible, but... So we're going to make it floating mode. Let's change the sprite. Let's get rid of the static body 2D. Boulder. This is going to be hat. Rune hat. Bam. Okay. Offset. I'm going to create a new node 2D. Call it visuals. Put the hat under here. And now, oops, I'm renaming that. Didn't want to rename it. The hat's going to be like this. Actually, I'm going to change the offset a little bit here. There we go. Bring up the hat. So now the shadow component here. It's a little bit big. Okay, so there's the hat. Actually, I liked it better with the 0.3 scale. Okay, add child node, collision shape 2D. We need it to have just a basic collision shape so that it can collide with the world. We'll make it a size of 6, and we'll just move this up so that the circle is barely touching the bottom. Okay, so there's our collision shape. Now what I need to do is change the collision. It needs to scan for terrain and secondary terrain, I believe. Okay, I'm also going to need a path find component so that it can find its way around. I wonder if I should just, well, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to make the hat like stay away from the other tables, because it's gonna be really annoying if it's just, let me think about this. That's actually gonna be a big problem. I think what I should probably do is just, like, if the hat's gonna be here, maybe it should just wander like in this area, because what I don't want to happen is for the player to overlap on 2 interaction areas and then have the ability to open both of them at the same time. So if I've got the hat starting here and just wandering over here and maybe up here a little bit, I think that would be fine, but I need to figure out a way to make that happen. Okay, I think it'll be doable. It will be doable. I don't need to think about the details right now. I need a velocity component as well. We're going to make this a very slow guy. Okay, character body 2D, let's grab node private, path find component, node private, velocity component, private state, delegate state machine equals new, state machine dot add states, private void state normal, private void state idle, private void state locked. I'll just call it a locked state. So we're going to add the state normal. State machine dot add states state idle, state machine dot add states state locked. Okay, on interacted, state machine change state locked. So it's going to go into the lock state when it gets interacted with. Okay, so state normal. Here's what I'm going to do. Public override void process state machine dot update velocity component dot move this. Okay. Pathfind component dot. I set target position maybe. We're just going to return out of this if the player is not present. We're going to set it to follow the player just by default. Okay. So we'll change to the idle state when the screen gets closed. Okay. I think it should be working just at a basic level now. So let's see what happens. Is the hat going to follow us? Let's find out. I'm pretty confident it's going to work. Oh, I spoke too soon. I need to set the initial state to state normal. Dang it. That's what I get for being confident. Hello, hat. And now the hat is following me. Can I interact with the hat? Yep, and the hat stops, so it's in the idle state now, which means that it can't do anything because there's no logic in that state. So that's working. Okay, so let's we'll add some animations and stuff too. Actually, I might as well just do that now because it's going to be really simple. Because it's just gonna endlessly repeat. Dang it. Okay. So this visuals hat here. Transform position. Create. Okay. Add a facing component as well, so that it flips itself. Node to scale visuals, aim component reference. How am I actually using this? Oh, I'll just do this. Okay, that'll work. So that will change its direction wherever it's facing, depending on which way it's floating. And then, so now we need like a waypoint system to kind of bound the places it can go to. But let me just make sure that this is working well. Did I set autoplay? I did not. I think this is kind of reversed too. better. Okay, let's see how that looks. Nice. All right, got a floating hat. I'll probably add some particles underneath it too, just to give it the impression that it's got some magical floating jet energy coming out of it. Sweet. But you could see the problem. Oh no, it's not. Okay, some sparkles. Yeah, exactly. How do you so quickly update your sprite from a sprite? So Godot will automatically rescan for files that have changed. So what I do is this is my a sprite file, I swapped it, and then I hit Control-Shift-Alt-S, which opens the export dialog, and that allows me to export it to that PNG, and that will just overwrite the PNG, and then Godot will re-import that and update it here. Okay, let's get a waypoint system involved here. It's going to be a little bit iffy, but the goal is to keep it away from the other tables. So I'm just going to add a bunch of waypoints. And make sure that there's enough room. Okay, and then all of these need to be in the same group. So groups, let's go ahead and add one. Hat waypoint. Okay, so those are all hat waypoints now. I'm gonna lock these. I need to make use of the lock feature way more often. Okay, so the hat's got some waypoints. Actually, this waypoint, I'm gonna make this go over here. Like up here more. Yeah. Cool. All right, so hat waypoint, cool. So then what I'm gonna do in my hat, private marker 2D waypoints. Get nodes in group. I don't really need these to be specified as a marker 2D. And what is this called? Hat waypoint. Oh, it doesn't take a string name. Oh, wait. Oh, it does take a string name. I just want to do toArray here. Cool. It never does that for me. I always have to redrag it in. Oh, interesting. There might be a setting. Let me see if I can find a setting real quick, actually. Reload. Isn't there like spinner? Isn't there like a update spinner? So there's an update spinner up here. I don't know what that does, which is probably why I turned it off. Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall having a setting for that. I think that it just works. Yeah, I don't know. I can't find a relevant setting right now. It'd be cool if it hit flash if it touches the flame. Oh yeah, interesting, yeah. Or it has its own little wizard hat magic shield and pushes the particles around it. Yeah. There's an A-Sport importer add-on. That would be interesting. When you save over the file, do you mean the one in the Godot folder or the OG file? Well, they're the same. So the OG file is inside of the Godot folder, inside of my resources directory. So I'm saving everything in my resources. I don't have a separate directory structure. So like the A-Sprite file here, it's being just saved alongside the PNG, and the PNG is part of the resources directory here. So the A-Sprite file is in this same exact directory, so when I export it, it just goes right into the Godot resources folder. Hello, Suhid, welcome back. Good to see you. Oh, are you doing something different, Fox Shadow? Do you have your asset, your raw files separate from your resource directory for Godot? Because that would be then why it wouldn't be auto-updating. So is there a way to get a random waypoint here? Is this gonna work? It'll work well enough. So var shuffled is equal to waypoints dot order by x mathutil dot rng dot randf dot select x dot global position. Okay, waypoint q dot nq. Can I nq? Oh. For each var point in shuffled, waypoint q dot nq point. So an enter state normal, want to say var, let's do this. Private vector to target position. Target position is equal to waypoint q dot dq. If waypoint q dot count is equal to 0, update waypoint q. I have all my sprites and A-Sprite files in a separate directory, then drag it into the Godot editor file system tab. I guess I assumed it kept a reference to that original file. Oh, I see. Yeah, if you merged them, it would get a lot better of a workflow, I think. Or at least merge some of the assets into there. Update waypoint Q. Cool. So now I don't need the player anymore. I spelled target position very wrong. Okay, private const int squared distance is equal to 16 times 16. If global position dot distance squared 2 target position is less than squared distance, state machine dot change state idle, private void enter state idle. So I need to add an enter state normal here and then enter state idle here. So when I enter the state idle, I want to set a random timer. So let's do that. Add child node random timer. Min wait time 2, max wait time 4. Cool. Let's grab a reference to that node private timer random timer. Enter state idle random timer dot call private read only string name func call start random. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. Okay. I think I need to make this one shot. Yep, there we go. Cool. And then in the state idle, it's just simply going to be velocity component dot decelerate. If random timer dot is stopped, we're going to go back to state normal, state machine, change state normal. And that should do it for our state machine. So let's take a gander and see if that works. I wish these data structures were in GDScript. Yeah, that's one of the reasons to use C# is you get a lot of these nice data structures. Position equals how much poise you have at a certain place. That's funny, like Dark Souls style. Q empty. Maybe I should do this all first. I wonder if that was just an initialization error. Wonder if it's going to work now. If you're coming from C++ Java background, I think C# just feels better. Yeah, I think that's probably right. Yeah, if you have experience with Java and C++, then you could pick up C# relatively easy. Okay, it's wandering around now. Look at that. And it's never wandering too close. Nice. I might do some reorientation of these, but now I can open up the runes and it's not going to go anywhere. And as soon as I close it, it'll stay there for a little bit and then it will continue on. That gives a little bit of life to this hub area. Also a little bit interesting to have the to have one of these tables be something that's moving around. I'm trying to test my weapon. Get out of here. Thank you. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Just like an unexplained magical hat that shows you which runes you've got unlocked. I'm gonna rename this. this here instead of upgrade tree. I'm just going to call it upgrades. It's simpler. Hello, Morn or Mornay. I don't know how to say your name. I apologize, but what kind of pathfinding setup are you using here? So it's just basically the default. So I've got the navigation mesh, which you can see here. So that's navigation mesh, which is just done with a navigation region here. And then for my pathfinding, I have a pathfind component that I can add to an agent or to an entity that I want to have pathfinding. And that uses a navigation agent 2D with the appropriate navigation layer. And that's basically it. I'm just basically using the methods available to me in the navigation agent 2D. So yeah, so if I set the navigation agent 2D target position, this will generate a new path. And then I have a follow path here method, which basically just does the steering along the path for me. But that's all part of my pathfind component. So the answer is I'm basically just using the built-in Godot pathfinding stuff with some of my own stuff wrapping it to achieve the effect that I want. Magic Hat quest line. Oh, I wish, like, there's so many cool things I could do with this game, and if I do them all, it will never be finished. So I have to, unfortunately, say, yep, that's a cool idea, and move on. How does your velocity component work? Does it call the character body 2D move and slide? No, the velocity component, it only keeps track of a velocity value. So in the velocity component, the only thing that it's doing is exposing ways of calculating a velocity vector, but it doesn't actually do anything. So the idea is that you can apply all of your modifications, right? So like I can apply gravity if I want. I can add speed modifiers to the number. I can tell it to accelerate or decelerate. Now there is this move method in here wherein I pass a character body and then it does apply its velocity value to the character body. But this is just like a helper method. Otherwise I'd have to write this chunk of code in every entity script. But the velocity component by default doesn't do anything. You have to explicitly call this move function, then pass in the character body that you want to move. And then it takes that velocity value, assigns it to the character body, and then reassigns it. So it takes, if the character body collides with something, its velocity may be modified. And so it takes the resulting character body velocity and reassigns it so that the velocity is updated. But in theory, I could use this velocity component to just track an abstract velocity. It doesn't need to be explicitly tied to an entity or any sort of system. Ladder Ray said it. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, you're welcome. You are welcome. Okay, so added hat as Rune unlock table. All right. So that is going to be it for the stream today. I'm very hungry. I'm going to go get myself some lunch. But thank you all for joining. It was a pleasure having you all. Thank you again, Christopher, for the $5 super chat. That was very much appreciated. And I know, Fox Shadow, I know you just got here. I started this stream a little bit early today, but... So, yeah. Thanks again, everyone. And if you would, please check out the links in the description below to figure out how you can support my work. Big things you can do are purchase one of my courses, and you'll also learn how to build a game in the Godot engine from that, and wishlist Gunforged. So yeah, check out the links in the description below. And once again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. All right, have a good day, everyone.